And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so delighted to welcome the incredible award-nominated Rio Youers here to give us the inside scoop on his brand new red-hot book, No Second Chances. Rio, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about your book.
Thank you so much. Great to be here. Really happy to be here and stoked to talk about my novel, to have the opportunity to, all of your viewers and your listeners. This is fantastic. Thank you so much for having me here. Yes, No Second Chance is available now from William Morrow Books. It's fast-paced action thriller, very strong characterization throughout. It tells the story of Kitty Ray, young, beautiful, ambitious, effervescent. She moves to Hollywood because, like so many before her, she wants to, she's got her eye on the stars. She wants to make her dreams come true, stardom, all of that stuff. And unfortunately for Kitty, she falls on the wrong side of a dangerous Viking wannabe drug dealer. He's a drug dealer to the rich and famous. And so Kitty, the only person she can turn to for help is probably the most least likely person, is a former actor by the name of Luke Kingsley, and unfortunately, Luke's got problems of his own. His career hit the trash can pretty much when his wife went missing, and because of the tempestuous nature of their relationship, everybody believes Luke killed her. So, Luke and Kitty team up. They're on the run from this Viking, and he's not gonna die easily. He's going full Valhalla to get his revenge, and it's like I said, it's very cinematic. It's end-to-end action, and it's a big old bag of fun.
Yay! A big old bag of fun is our favorite kind of fun, Rio. We can't wait to get into every single delicious, dirty detail, including a rave review from the king himself, Stephen King. So
Amen.
we are going to get right into it. But first, I just want to welcome everyone who's watching us. So we are broadcasting live to 6 destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So wherever you are watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. If you've been here before, you know how it works. This is your chance to ask this incredible author anything you want about Hollywood, LA, his writing process, Stephen King's blurb, whatever you're wondering about, get it going in the comments. I'll get it right over to Rio. He's joining us live from Ontario today, and I see the questions and comments are already pouring in. Leslie, welcome to the conversation. She's giving us her signature Canadian hello, your fellow Canadian there, Rio.
Yes.
Courtney is saying hello. Welcome to the conversation, Courtney. Just want to remind you, if you're watching from a private Facebook group, you have to click that privacy enabled button to let us see your picture, or you can stay mysterious, very on brand for this show. Anissa, welcome to the conversation, saying hello, Sara and Rio. She is excited to hear about this book. Anissa is a bookstagrammer extraordinaire. She does a lot with friends and fiction. She says she's here for the big old bag of fun, Rio.
There you go. We aim to please. We're going to do it.
Leisha Haney saying hello from Texas. Leisha, welcome to the conversation. Great to have you. Leslie saying she's watching from Ontario/Barrie today as well.
Beautiful. Yep, just up to 400 from me, Barrie, not too far away.
Yay! Okay, so we have an international audience today. So Rio, let's kick off with this incredible review from Stephen King himself. Oh my God. So he raves a rip-roaring Hollywood noir that smashes the pedal to the metal and keeps it there. The best villain, high praise from Stephen King, the best villain since Ian Fleming's James Bond novel. This one is hot. So let's get into that, Rio. First of all, huge congratulations from that. Okay, let's talk about it. So how do you write a great villain?
Well, first and foremost, you've got to let this villain, whoever they are, into your heart, into your house, into your home, into your mind, and whatever they do, it doesn't matter what they do, what terrible things they do, you've got to forgive them. And because really, if you can't forgive them, how are you ever going to understand them? How are you ever going to get inside their minds? For Johann Fly, who's the Viking antagonist of this novel, it was important to me that he was first and foremost an incredibly alluring, enticing character, because I wanted people to be attracted to him. One of the things that, growing up, I used to love those old Dracula movies starring Christopher Lee, and how he would just stare at people with his hypnotic eyes, and his victims would be drawn toward him, helplessly, hopelessly drawn toward their inevitable demise. And there was something very powerful and alluring about that. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be great in a sort of a more modern setting? And you've got this big Viking character. He's got the tattoos, he's got the beard and the long blonde hair, very striking Nordic features. And yeah, he's just very charming. He knows all of the celebrities. He's the son of a Danish billionaire. He's a YouTuber, Instagrammer, very, very popular social media sensation. So he attracts attention. But obviously the flip side of that is this very dark, esoteric, violent nature. And those are two sides of that character I had to understand. I had to understand his alluring side, first and foremost, but then we got into the darkness, and really I just spent time with him outside of the book. When I'd be having a shower, or I'd be doing the dishes or vacuuming or something, and I'd check in with Johan, and we'd talk about the story, talk about the book, talk about the other characters. It sounds a little bit crazy talking to your characters, but oh my God, he revealed so many things to me, and I really understood what made him tick. And it was enlightening. And so by the time I sat back down again to write the book and the story, I knew him a little bit better than I did before. And so we developed a relationship over the course of the book. And that's something I do with all of my characters, obviously, through the writing, but also off the page as well. Helps me get to know them. Sometimes we sit down, we chat, we have, it's a full interview. I'll ask them about their day. I'll ask them what they had for breakfast. And we go one-on-one, and it's fantastic. And I really get to understand them. They become a part of me. I become a part of them. And the results, hopefully, are evident on the page.
Ooh, fascinating. So Leisha would like to know a little bit more about that. She says, do your characters actually talk to you? So do you hear their voices, Rio? And if they do, have you ever had to change something in the story because of something that one of them told you?
Absolutely. It happens all the time. Yeah, I talk to my character, and it's a conversation. So they absolutely talk. Now I know that it's me, and I'm essentially talking to myself, but that's what writing is. That's what writing a book is. You're having a conversation with yourself, and then it goes out to, hopefully the masses. But it happens all the time. I'm sure I would think this happens to every writer, but you get to a certain point and you think the story is going to go this way because that's the way you sort of planned it. And then you realize that the character wouldn't do that. It's just not in their nature. And so the character dictates which direction the story goes from there. And that happens frequently. There's a chapter in this, there's a character called Terra Montecino in this novel, who's a former LAPD detective turned private eye. And she's hot on Luke. She wants him taken down for what she thinks he did. And there's a scene later in the book where she starts to put the pieces together. And oh my goodness, it took me about 5 times to write that chapter, because every time I tried to get Tara to do one thing, she dug her heels in and said, no, that's not the way we're doing this. And she would totally take me off in a different direction. And it was a bit of a battle, because I didn't see how it would work doing it Tara's way. But I did it in the end, and she was right. She was right. So it's
wow.
Pretty intense.
Sounds intense and fascinating. Leisha, thank you for the great question. Rio, thank you for the fabulous answer. Anissa would like to know a little bit more too. She says, since you have such an intimate relationship with your characters, do you have a hard time leaving them when you're done with the book? Great question, Anissa.
Yeah, great question. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I miss them, especially with this book. I remember when I sat down, and Luke and Kitty had been in my head for a while, for probably a couple of years before I sat down to begin the book. So I was hanging out with them. But when we just all got together and started writing this book, I knew then that I was going to have, for however long I was writing this book, a year, 18 months, 2 years with edits and everything else, I knew that it was going to be a year that I was fully going to enjoy, and I was going to love hanging out with these characters. And they didn't disappoint. It was so much fun, because I don't plot my books out. I don't plan everything out. I'm very much a seat of the pants writer, so I don't always know exactly what's going to happen and where these characters are going to go. So it's a wild ride. It's a road trip, and when we were getting towards the end, it was kind of like going on vacation with some really good friends, and then at the end of it, you'll see them again. I can check in. I've got the book right here. I can always check in, but to not sort of hang out with them as intimately as I did and as directly as I did, it was definitely it was a little bit of a sour pill to swallow. I remember usually when you get your edits from your editor, it's like a ton of work. You're like, oh God, no, I don't want this. But when I got my edits back, it meant that I could jump back into the book and jump back into the characters. And I was like, I'm back, baby. And it was great. So I got to hang out again, and it was great. It was a reunion.
So do you still check in with them, Rio? Are you like, hey, Johan, how was your day today? Or not so much?
Well, not in terms of conversations. I'm on to different stories now and different characters, but every now and again I'll pick the book up, or I'll reflect on a particular part of the book, or I'll be talking to someone who's read the book, and it obviously brings the characters to mind, and we had some good times. And I hope, and I think that translates to the read. Certainly, the reviews coming in, everybody seems to be enjoying the book and enjoying the characters. And that's important to me, characterization, because I don't, as good as the story is, if you don't have the characters to support that story, then it's kind of like having a really nice car, but with no gas in the tank.
Right. You could sit in your car, but you're not going anywhere.
Yeah. You need to be able to move, and it's the characters that give you the momentum and the push.
I love that. Lecha says, thank you so much for answering my question, Rio. I love your answer.
Oh, thank you. That was a great question. Thank you.
Great question. Christine saying, howdy from Central Texas. Christine, welcome to the conversation. Great to have you here. Rio, let's talk about the second, Leach is adding that it's so awesome that you are so close and stay close with your book characters. And I think, Rio, that affection that you have with them and the closeness does come through the page. I felt your love for them, your care for them, for all of them, coming through on the page, and I bet a lot of us did. If you've read the book, let us know in the comments, or grab the book today, and I will be posting the link, and you can let us know as you read it. Now, Rio, let's get back to the second part of Stephen King's rave review here, which is that you smash the pedal to the metal and keep it there. So Stephen King praising your ability to keep the pace going. Mm-hmm. What do you think the secret is, especially as our attention spans are just getting smaller and smaller? How do you keep the reader engaged? How do you smash it to the metal and keep it there?
Well, again, touching on character again, if you've got to have characters that the reader wants to spend time with and is invested in. In terms of the actual pacing and the action, it can't be too much and it can't be too frequent, but at the same time, you've got to do everything you can to claim and retain the reader's attention. I think the secret really I've written books. Lola on Fire was another one, and this one, a lot of people say it's end-to-end action, but if you break the book down, it really isn't end-to-end action. It just feels like it is, because between the action, you've got scenes between characters that move. Those scenes move quickly. The dialogue is snappy. There's not a lot of time spent on description. There's not a great deal of time spent on mood setting and things like that. We trust that the reader kind of is on board and we know where we are and we're just moving forward. So even in those chapters and those scenes where it is just maybe conversational or a little bit expositional, maybe because it moves quickly, it does feel that boom, 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 you're onto that next action scene before you know it. Obviously layering in the intrigue, building up the intensity through dialogue, through characterization always helps, because you as the reader are ready to move on to the next step, and then we take it a little bit further, and then boom, it's the action again. So I think really that's what the trick is, to sort of have that end-to-end action vibe. It's really not so much the action, it's what you do between the action. Has to be snappy, has to be um, uh, full of heart and character, and you don't want to bog your reader down with too much detail. Like I said, too much description. Just keep it moving. Keep the river running. Imagine the action's like the rapids, right? And then every now and again there's still a calm spot, but the water's always moving. And then boom,
Ooh.
you hit the rapids again.
I love that. I love that. I can see that river analogy. A great analogy. Leisha would like to know, where do you get your names for your book characters, and have you named any of your characters with family or some of your friends' names? Okay, so we got Kitty Ray from Kentucky. We got Luke, the semi-washed up, struggling actor, guilty in the court of public opinion of
Yeah.
probably murdering his wife. We got Johan, aka the Viking. Where do you come up with these names, Rio?
Well, interestingly, Luke was, during the writing of the book, his name was actually Isaac Kingsley. And I really like that. It sort of had a sort of a friendly vibe to it, despite, Isaac, as he was then, sort of in the court of public opinion, everybody thinking he murdered his wife. But my editor, Jem Browell, the wonderful Jem Browell at William Morrow, said, I like Isaac, but to me, it doesn't really sound like an actor's name. I think he needs something a little bit more befitting his character. And Luke immediately came to mind. Luke's a good name. It's a religious name. It's a good friendly name. And so, as Isaac was also a religious name. I don't know what that is, but yeah, it was. It just came to me. Kitty Ray. There's something I don't really know. I don't sit down too long and think of the names. If I don't have a name immediately for a character, I can kind of, and I often change throughout the story as well. In terms of main characters, I never use friends or family names for main characters, because too much bad stuff happens to them. I wouldn't I wouldn't do that to my friends or my family. But every now and again, very occasionally, I'll drop a friend's name into a novel somewhere. I do occasionally do that. Usually just the first name, which is a little nod and a wink more than anything direct.
Yeah, it could make for an awkward Thanksgiving dinner if you killed off mom, if you
Exactly. Yeah. No. So with the names, I just go with what feels right for the character. I try to, at least. The name has to fit the person's character, rather than I don't know. It's a bit of a balance, but it's nothing I think about too much. The right name seems to come along. I have much more trouble actually coming up with a title for the book often. I don't know why that is, but I struggle with book titles and with short story titles. But with the names of characters, they always, it's like I said, maybe it's that whole speaking to my character thing. They tend to inform me what they should be called quite early on.
So is there a wink and a nod non-main character name in this book, Rio?
Well, actually, Tara, who I was talking about earlier, Tara Montalcino, when I was working in my local bar, which is something I do once a week. Quite like to do that on a Friday with a beer and my computer. This wonderful woman came in, and I knew she was from out of town, because it's a local bar, and you can tell the out of towners. And she came over to me and she said, "Hey, well, what are you working on?" And I said, "Well, I'm a novelist. I'm writing my new book." And at that time, I had just introduced this character. I can't remember her name at the time, but it was this Tara Montalcino character. And she said, "Oh, you should totally use my name in the book. It's Tara." And I thought she said Terra, as in Terror. And I thought, that's a great name. I want to use that name. And she spelled it out Tera, sorry. And anyway, we got chatting, and she actually went on to be in Big Brother, the Canadian edition of Big Brother. And she was completely badass in that. And I thought, yeah, she's a total badass character that I want. That's a totally badass character name, and it fits perfectly. So I ended up using her name for Tara Montecino, who's this former LAPD detective, and she's great. A lot of people have really singled her out as being one of their favorite characters in the book, actually. So, and Tara, when I told her that, and I thank her in the back of the book in the acknowledgments, she was made up with that. So yeah, it was great. It was good.
Oh my gosh, that's such a fun backstory. I love that. Thanks for sharing the inside scoop. All right, you guys, we have 10 minutes left. So any questions for Rio, get them going in the comments. Meanwhile, I just want to chat about another rave review. Oh my gosh, where shall I start? Okay. Rio, I wanted to be sure to ask you about setting. So we were chatting about this right before we went live, and you said when it comes to setting, it's a tightrope balance. So one of my favorite things about this book is how you set the flavor, the stage, the scent of LA, of broken dreams and swaying palms, but also neon and plastic and trash.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about setting. You said it's easy to be too over the top. What do you mean by that?
Well, when you're not from a place, I think that the temptation is to turn everything up to 11 to make sure that you represent this place or try to represent it, but there's a lot of subtlety involved, and I think you've really got to aim to be like I said, it's that tightrope walk. It's a very thin line between overdoing it and not emphasizing stuff enough, because when you overdo it, it's way too much, and you fall flat on your face. You're off that tightrope line in no time. But at the same time, if there isn't enough detail, and if there aren't enough of those little touches, those little subtleties, then you're not going to draw the reader in, and they're not going to be in the story. You can have a great story and you can have great characters, but the setting again is so important, because that's where you live and breathe. That's where you transport your reader and you bring them in. So you show them the blue sky, the smell of the ocean, the palm trees, the shadows of everything. And I visualize it and I put myself there, and just it's really difficult to say, because when you walk out of your front door, you describe what you see. You can say, oh, the trees and the houses across the street and stuff like that, but those are things that people for the most part aren't really interested in. It's more those subtle things. It's what birds are flying in the sky. It's what type of tree, what type of flower is growing, what can I smell. Those little things. Is there trash in the streets? Is it, can I see the horizon from here? Those little things that go a long way to truly setting the vibe. Those are things you can't really pick up by going to Google Earth. Do you know what I mean? And sort of scanning around on the sort of digital camera. You've got to live there, and you've got to breathe it. And I have been to Los Angeles, and when I last went was when I started the book. As I was saying to you before, I actually started writing this book in the Viper Room on Sunset Boulevard, because I wanted to, it was a perfect place to start, a book set in Hollywood. That was a real Hollywood setting. And I just lived and breathed it, and just took note of every small little thing. How many people were clustered on this corner? The street lights, how often, are they, the spacing between them, what number bus runs down this street, all of those little details, making notes of every small detail, not to necessarily use them, but just because I have that in my knowledge base. You know what I mean? So you can draw upon it if you need to, but primarily, and I think I credit the success of the setting to a beta reader friend of mine by the name of Chris Ryle, who's a native Californian. Lives in San Diego, but has worked and spent a lot of time in Los Angeles. And he was the first person to read the book. And I gave it to him expressly. And I said, listen, I want this to feel like a Californian wrote this book. More importantly, if a Californian reads this book, I want it to ring true to them. And so he pointed out a few things, which was great. And also he complimented me on a few things that I'd done well. But when I think about getting the setting right, and if I'm giving advice to people, if you're writing in a location that you don't know well, if you can, bring in a beta reader who knows that place. And I think if you can pass that test, then you'd be on and have them be critical, overly critical, if anything. And one of the things Chris said to me, actually, and it sort of pulled me up short. He said, like I said, he said a lot of the things I'd done right. He said, but some of your characters, they talk. It kind of reminds me of that old Saturday Night Live skit, the Californians. You know, it was all like overly Californian dialogue, and so I definitely, on the next draft, I made sure I toned that down quite a bit. And I think that's a tendency of the writer to sort of go in a little bit hard, and then, but the good thing is you can always draw back in subsequent drafts. So yeah, and sometimes you got to do that and to fully understand the place yourself. It's like I said, get all those little details in, and then figure out, you know, what's just enough. It's got to be just enough. It's a very thin line. It's that tightrope. Yes, it's got to be just enough, and not just at the beginning and not just at the end, but all the way through. That tightrope line has to go from the very first page to the very last.
I love that. I love that. I want to remind you all, the book is out now and you should grab your copy of it today. So from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore, Murder by the Book. So I'm popping the link into the comments. Here it is. Click over, grab it, and immerse yourself in the California sunshine and also the neon wonder that is LA. So you too can be immersing yourself in this culture. Here is the link. Grab it now, y'all. Grab it now. Rio, I'm interested that you started writing this book in the Viper Room. Were people staring at you with a laptop? Were you the guy, you know, drinking an orange juice or a non-alcoholic beverage in the corner, typing away, and everyone else is zoning out? Or what was that like for you?
Yeah, it was like early evening, so 5, 6 o'clock. There wasn't actually that many people in the bar at the time. And I was sat at the bar on a bar stool with a notepad and pen. I tend to write a lot shorthand and longhand rather. And it was interesting because people would come in and, you know, they immediately assume you're a sort of screenwriter or something attached to the movie. So I got asked, you know, what movie I was working on a couple of times. And the bartender asked me if I was in the movies, and I'm like, sorry to disappoint you. No, I'm a lowly novelist. That's all. And yeah, it was a good night. It was actually Halloween. It was October the 31st, and it was the anniversary of River Phoenix's death. And he died at the Viper Room. I was a big River Phoenix fan, and that was the reason why I went there. Actually, on the anniversary, it was not to Hollywood. I didn't go there specifically for that reason, but it occurred to me while I was there. And I thought, well, I'll go and have a drink if it's open. And it was. And you know, and like I said, I sat down and started writing the book. And yeah, and I stayed there all night. I ended up putting my notepad behind. They had a band on, and they wouldn't, they said, oh, you could have tickets to see the band. But then the band came in and I started schmoozing them like I do. And they gave me free tickets. So I ended up partying with the band and staying all night, which was great.
What?
Yeah.
Rio, you buried the headline. That's the coolest story ever. Oh my gosh. So you show up at the Viper Room, the place where River Phoenix died, on the anniversary of River Phoenix's death. Just a quote, lowly novelist sitting in the corner writing longhand in your paper, by paper and pen, and end up partying with the band and closing the bar down. This is the best story ever.
It's what I do.
And it just got better. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, Leecha would like to know, Rio, do you write every day? Yeah, walk us through your process. So you said you're not a plotter. So are you just out there with your notepad and pen in various bars? Like, what's your process like?
Yeah, every day. I guess maybe not Christmas Day, and probably not my birthday, and there might be if I'm traveling and it's a try, you know. But if there's no excuse, then yeah, I sit down. I'm an early bird. I get up nice and early, usually 6 a.m., 6:30 at the latest, and I go to work. Grab a coffee and sit down and go to work. usually try to get as much work done as I can before 11 a.m. And then I'll go to the gym and work out, and then afternoons for correspondence. And then hopefully, if there's time, I do a little bit. If I can't write in the evenings, I certainly try to read what I've done and, fix it here and there if it needs it, and then do the same the next day. But I don't write. I know people who burn the midnight oil, and I'm always very envious of them because that seems like a very writerly thing to do. And I wonder if I'm not quite the writer they are, because by 9 p.m. my brain turns to mashed potato and I can't do anything. I can't do anything except watch Netflix and weep.
Well, I can tell you, Rio, I'm one of those night oil people. I am a born and bred night owl, and I come when the moon comes out, I come alive, and I
That's
stay
great.
up very, very late. But I feel guilty for not getting up early, because I feel like that's the more writerly thing to do. I feel like, oh, you're so industrious. Our culture praises the early bird who gets the worm. I'm the night owl who gets the mouse. I don't know whatever night owls hunt for. So I feel like a slacker for not getting up early and hitting it by 6 a.m. So, and you know what? I just realized that what I learned actually when I did my 23andMe, it's genetic. You're a night owl or you're a morning person, completely beyond your what
Right.
you
Yeah.
can hope to control. I love hearing about your process and knowing that you break your day up with the gym and separate it into creative time and correspondence time, and that you take Christmas and your birthday off. I love it. So 2 days off, a year, and 363 days on.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. But it's such a fun job that, if I can't work, then I get anxious, and then I feel like I'm wasting my time, wasting my life.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, Leslie's chiming in. She says she is a super night owl. Yes, we got shamed for being up late. Leslie, right? These early morning people get hoisted on people's shoulders and celebrated, and we get shamed for being a night.
Oh, I want to be a night owl. Like, everybody's asleep. I would be able to get so much work done. It would be fantastic. But yeah,
I'll send you some caffeine. I'll send you some coffee, Rio. We could just pump you full of espresso and just, right late into the night.
Maybe that's the ticket. Yeah, that's what I need. More coffee, more caffeine.
Lee Child drinks 35 cups of coffee a day, and his brother, Andrew Child, drinks 38 cups a day.
Oh my God, really? Wow.
Yeah. I hosted them in November, and when I learned how much coffee they consume, I would be shaking. You'd probably have to give me CPR. Like, I would die. But yeah, they drink a lot of coffee.
That's amazing. I'm impressed and slightly alarmed. Fantastic.
I think impressed and slightly alarmed is exactly the right response. Oh my gosh, what a perfect note to end on. Impressed and slightly alarmed. Y'all, you're going to be impressed by this book. I'm popping the links to the comments one more time because you have to get it. So grab your copy of No Second Chances, and then be sure to join the Mystery and Thriller Mavens Facebook group, where we spill the tea, where the good conversation goes down, and we can chat about Kitty Ray, we can chat about Luke, Johann the Viking, all of these great characters. So grab it and we'll talk then. Rio, what a pleasure to host you. Thank you so much for coming on Mystery and Thriller Mavens. And will you please come back when your next book is out? Because this has been so much fun.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you so much. Really, the pleasure was mine, and it's wonderful being here. So thank you, and I will absolutely come back.
Yay. Okay, perfect. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today with Rio Youers, live from Ontario. I'll be back at 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. tonight Eastern, with multiple Pulitzer Prize nominee Wayne Johnson, his latest, The Red Canoe, and Dr. Tammy Giuliano, anesthesiologist in real life, presenting her debut medical thriller. I will see you then for #Mystery Monday, because Mondays can be murder.